Hello, everyone, and welcome to the High School OT preseason boys soccer show. I'm J. Mike Blake, and we're going to go around the state, area code by area code, to preview each region, who are the top players, who are the top teams, and who are some teams that could break out this year in the high school boys soccer season here in North Carolina. So we're going to start with a 252, go to 336. After that, the 704, 828, 910, and 919 area codes. Preseason rankings are up on High School OT, the preseason top 25. That is a statewide ranking, as well as all the area codes, each with their own top 15 ranking. We even have a watch list, which is available to High School OT insiders. Should be a great season this year in North Carolina, which always has really some of the best high school soccer teams in the country. Let's get to it by looking at the 252 area code. So last season in the 252, you had team like First Flight that made it to the fourth round of 3A playoffs. They ended last season number 1 in the 252 area code rankings. Number 2 was Southern Nash. Number 3 was J.H. Rose. Again, these are all last year's 3A teams. And then at number 4 and number 5, you had two 2A teams, Greene Central and Washington. As you know, classifications are changed around this time. So this year, when we're looking at the area code, we still have First Flight number 1, but they are now a 4A team. Greene Central's number 2. They are 3A. They're bringing back a lot of their scoring. Manio, a team that was 11-11-2 last year, is bringing back almost its entire team. So we've got them at number 3, followed by J.H. Rose, which is good year in, year out, even though they did have heavy graduation losses. And Greenville School is number 5. When we look at some breakout teams that could surprise this year in the 252, I'm looking at a few of them. Like, let's talk about Holmes High School out in Edenton, North Carolina. They were 14-10-1 last year, but are bringing back 10 of their top 12 scores from a year ago. Another team that could surprise, let's go to the private school ranks. John Paul II bringing back a lot of its starters. They're out in Greenville. They went 15-5-1 last year. Another team that could surprise, Northern Nash bringing back a good number of its top scorers and top returning starters, as well as Southwest Edgecombe. Last year, Southwest Edgecombe caught some people by surprise, having a nice 13-7-2 year. This year, they began the 252 area code rankings ranked at number 14. Also, let me throw in one more here, just for fun. Cape Hatteras, bringing back everybody from last year's team. There were no seniors for the Hurricanes last year. 7-9-2 in 1A soccer. This year, 1A loses about half of its members. It'd be interesting to see if they can make some noise on the Outer Banks. All right, let's look at some players to know in the 252 area code. Camden County had a really nice year last year. They do bring back some of their starters, led by Wyatt Werderman. We're also going to take a quick look at a few others. First Flight, which has really been kind of the standard bearer in the 252 area code out there on the Outer Banks. Let's look at Sam Baldwin as someone that's returning who can make a lot of noise this year. North Lenoir, Maddox Smith had a lot of goals for the Hawks a year ago. And in Greene Central, another good year. We're looking forward to another good year coming from Josh Osorio, the leading scorer of the Rams. And to kind of round us out, one of the leading scorers that's returning to 1A this year is Jacob Lazar of Vance Charter. Starting off the show with the 252 area code, and one of the teams that you have to be mindful of, seems like every year in the 252 area code, is Greene Central. And joining us now to talk about the Rams is Coach Jacob Baird. Coach, last year you guys make it all the way to the 2A East Regional Final, and I feel like you guys had to be feeling pretty good going into this year, even though your new look, 3A, a little bit different with the A classifications, new conference. But just kind of go through a little, some reasons for optimism going into this year.
Yeah, we feel good. We graduated 5 seniors last year. So for the majority, mostly having returners, our leading goal scorer from last year, Josh Osorio, is coming back. And actually our second leading goal scorer, Miguel Zavala, is back as well. They are both seniors this year. So we're heading into this year as an older group. We have 7 seniors. And I believe 8 juniors and all, as well as some sophomores mixed in there as well. So we're confident, hopefully we can build off of that momentum we had last year going into the playoffs, and unfortunately, obviously losing in regionals. But we're hoping we can build off of that this year. So.
Yeah. Since the pandemic year, the only two teams in the 252 area code that have played for a state title have been First Flight and Greene Central. So it's pretty good company to be in. What is it about that area that has allowed you guys to reel off so many successful seasons? I want to say it's like, again, for getting rid of the one pandemic short year, I want to say it's like 5 or 6 straight years with 17 wins or more.
Right. I think, just like you just said, the area, and, I got to give some credit to the coaches that have come before me. I'm good friends with the head coach that was here before me. I believe it was 3 of the 4 years. And I'm good buddies with him. And I think the coaching has a part into it. The middle school, which I also work at, just the program has been in good shape with the players and player development across these years. So, yeah.
Yeah. And kind of in a more rural school, how is it to kind of get kids who may be good at soccer to get them to kind of embrace school soccer? What goes into that? Because I think for a lot of rural schools, you'll find guys saying, hey, I know there's kids in these hallways who can play, but they haven't even thought about like suiting up for us.
Right. To be honest, I think the lack of, travel soccer, AAU, whatever you want to call it in this area. So you got Greenville. Some guys go to PGSA, but the next biggest, the closest would be Raleigh. And, that's tough for some of these guys that live out in Greene County and stuff like that to get to. So I think school soccer is a big focus, and is their way to whatever they want to go to next, whether it be the next level or whatever it is. They understand that, school soccer, and I'm thankful for it. Obviously, school soccer is their way to go. It's their passage. So,
yeah, gotcha. Take me through the schedule. New conference this year, but I think you guys loaded up in non-conference too. Some big showdowns. What do you think your players are looking forward to the most?
Yeah, those early non-conference games. Well, I'll speak to conference first. Obviously, this is the first go-round year with this new conference alignment. And, conference is what it is. We're going to have to play what we have to play, right? I don't know whoever makes those decisions and whatnot, right? But they get passed on, and we're going to play who we have to play. But I think those non-conference games early on, the opponents like Wallace, Rose Hill, D.H. Conley, some CBA Cock, Rose, the opponents like that, really get us ready and to head into conference and definitely help us out in the long run, whether win or lose, either way. So I think those – we get ready for those. Those are usually at the beginning. We have a couple mixed in throughout the season, but those are the ones that, we're gearing up for to start. And then eventually we will head into conference, obviously. And I think just building off of that confidence and what we've learned from these non-conference games going into conference.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, Coach, any kind of do you sense that your team, I guess it's been a few years back since there was the Greene Central's in the state championship, how much they've kind of circled that as a goal this year? Do you really feel like this is a team that has those kind of aspirations?
Yeah, I think it's just like a conversation I had with them Monday. I guess today's Wednesday. Coming in, taking this serious because, if we want to do it, it's time. We're coming off these. Last year, we have the experienced guys coming up. The past 2 years, we've been to regionals, that experience and building off of that. The time is now, essentially, more or less. And, we want to – a lot of these guys from that state championship year, either we're friends, relatives, or things like that. And they're building up around us as well. And they're helping out with that motivation piece of it as well. So, like I said, the time is now, and hopefully we can be successful.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, Coach, thanks very much for joining us here on the preseason show, and best luck this season. We won't wait too long to come out and catch you guys at a game, especially with that great non-conference lineup you got.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
One of the area codes that I think is really underrated when it comes to boys soccer is the Greater Triad, the 336. A lot of good talent and a lot of good teams a year ago. Part of that was fueled a little bit by a decision of one of the big clubs out there to let a lot of their top players play high school soccer if they wanted to. A lot of them did. We saw a lot of goals from a lot of these teams. Let's look back at last season really quickly. The last top 5 that we had in 2024 out of the 336, we had Western Alamance, the 3A state champs, going 25-1. followed by Ashboro. They were the runner-up in that 3A title game. It was a 3A title game, and both schools were in the triad, or from the triad. Ashboro had won the 3A West title, and they went 27-3. West Forsyth, always good, a 4A school. Now will be 8A in the new realignment. They went 21-2-2. We had Wesleyan Christian, who lost to the eventual North Carolina Independent Schools Athletic Association 4A state champions out of Georgia, Rayburn Gap. Wesleyan Christian was our fourth school last year. And then the 2A runner-up last year, Southwestern Randolph, 25-3, a very strong number 5 out of the 3-3-6. Turning our attention to this year in a 3-3-6, we do have a lot of these teams kind of ranked again, but in a little bit different order. Southwestern Randolph is the number 1 team. Now, they are 4A this year, are the Cougars, but they are bringing back 10 of their returning 11 scores, top 11 scores from a year ago. So big things could be on the horizon for the Cougars. Western Alamance, which loses a few of its top scorers, but brings back a lot of its depth. They went 25-1 a year ago. They're now 5A. We've got them at number 2 in a 3-3-6. Northwest Guilford is starting off this year at number 3. They are now 8A. Ragsdale, which is now 6A, they're in 4th place. The Tigers had a nice little breakout season last year at 22-5. And then 5th, we have, again, always good year in, year out, Wesleyan Christian. Despite some heavy graduation losses, we've got the Trojans right there in 5th. Now, let's look at some of these teams that could be breakout teams this year. Last year, you may have penciled in a school like Mount Airy or Grimsley. This year, we're going to go with Randleman, a 15-7-2 team from a year ago that brings back 8 of its returning starters. The Tigers could be working on something over in Randolph County. Another team that I like is Bishop McGinnis. They're 16-5-4. They're bringing back a solid core of returning players and could be a team to watch in 2A. We're also going to take a look at Mount Airy. Yes, Mount Airy, because, yes, they lose the their star from a year ago, but they're bringing back 7 of their top scorers as well. And also keep an eye on Williams High School, the Bulldogs. They do share a conference with their traditional rival, Western Alamance. Those should be some good battles. The Bulldogs went 17-8-1 last year. They're bringing back 9 returning starters from a year ago. And then lastly, if you want to look at a team that's bringing back a lot of its starters who had a pretty good successful run last year, that's Forbush, 21-4-2. They're bringing back 7 starters from a year ago. Now, the 3-3-6 has all sorts of talent. As we saw a year ago, some of them we didn't even know were playing high school soccer until the year began. So let's look at 5 of them that you need to know going into this year, 5 of them who made our watch list. For West Forsyth, you got Ethan Bargout. He is one of the returning starters for a very successful program a year ago. Osmar Martinez, one of the few returning starters for Ashboro, who really helped hold things together in the midfield for him last year. Let's go to some all-state returning players. Justin Lee of Northwest Guilford, 36 goals, 10 assists. Also, Ragsdale, Owen Justice, what a great sophomore season he had, 55 goals and 13 assists. Fernando Hernandez of Southwestern Randolph, 50 goals and 24 assists on the season. He's definitely the star of the Cougars, even though the Cougars have a lot of guys returning who made the Coaches All-Region team. And again, they're bringing back pretty much all of their starters from a year ago. Let me throw in one more that's not on this list. He was 3rd-team All-State for us last year, Aiden Brown out of West Davidson. He had 13 goals and 2 assists in the field, which may not strike you as that much, but he also spent half of his time as goalkeeper, where he had less than 2 goals against average and 10.8 saves per game. So a very busy year for Aiden Brown, both in the field and in the net. All right, up next, we have what I think is probably the most underrated and a very tough area code top to bottom year in, year out. It's the 3-3-6, the Greater Triad. And to join us now to talk about his team is Camden Brooks, head coach of Western Alamance, last year's 3A state champion, now in 5A. It's still a little trying to get used to where everyone is. And not only did the Warriors win the boys soccer championship last fall, but also the girls in the spring. So things are Western Alamance. I think we talked about this at the state championships last spring, officially a soccer school there, Coach Brooks. Take me through a little bit about what last year was like. I mean, I think it was 27-1, and just an incredible comeback in the state championship game and what that did for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that we had a really talented team from the start. we had a good non-conference schedule set up. We knew that Asheboro was one of the top teams, so we knew that we wanted to play them early on. But I mean, we had talented kids. We had kids that had started on varsity since their freshman year. We had new kids coming into the school. So it's just a mix of a lot of things, but we knew this was the most talented team that we had. So expectations were high. And winning a title, the seniors last year, some of them were a part of the title their freshman year. So they had some experience and they saw kind of what it took. So, it was an exciting year for us for sure. And I mean, it was about as good as you could have wished for.
Yeah. And I know you did lose some key parts of last year's run, a couple of all-state seniors for us, but there were also, I feel like, a number of young guys, juniors, freshmen even, who started for that team. So kind of take me through kind of the new look of the Warriors this year and how many people you're bringing back.
Yeah, so we lost a good senior class, really good senior class. I think it's 4 starters that we lost, along with seniors that were just really talented coming off the bench, didn't lose a lot, talent-wise when they were to come on the field. So there's a lot of holes to fill. Like you said, there's a lot of really good returning players. Grant Backus is a big one. He was a freshman, scored 20-something goals last year, scored in the state finals, came up big in a lot of big games for us. And he battled a little bit of like a hamstring injury for part of the season. So he's fully healthy now. He'll be a big part of our team. You have like Frankie Maya returning, was a defender. You have Eamon Hips in goal, who I think is an all-state level kid. You got Cam Oliveira at center back. Midfield is exactly what it was last year. So Brian Villanueva Herrera, Herson Hernandez, and Noah Rouse. I mean, it's looking good. It's a lot of returning guys. We also had a lot of talented younger kids that sat behind these guys. And we try to work really hard on like teaching the team why we do things, not just like go do this. So them having been in the system for a year or two, these younger guys, I feel like they can pop into it fairly easily. It's nothing new to them. And the leaders we have, I feel like this is the best senior class we have as far as leadership. I feel like these guys are a good extension of my voice on the field. So they'll do everything that I need them to. And they're going to push everyone. I feel like practices are going to be intense, and it's going to be a really exciting year for us for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And, take me through. I know that you're in a new conference, and it's a big conference. It's basically everyone in Alamance County, just about. And I think person as well. I'm still trying to make sure I have these memorized before the year starts. Non-conference wise, that you don't have as many opportunities to go out there and play. But when you think about your players, what games do you think they're kind of circling on the calendar? Like, this will be a good regular season tune-up for us, showdown for us.
Yeah, in conference, Williams and us are the big rivalry. So a lot of my guys play club with their guys, and they know each other. So that's always a big game. Southeast Alamance is going to be a big game. My brother was the coach there for 2 years. He actually moved, so they got a new coach, but really talented team. I think Williams Southeast are big games for us in conference. We play Northwest Guilford, who's going to be an 8A. And we play at their place on a Friday night where they have like a bye for football. So they're trying to ramp up a crowd and stuff, which I think is really cool. We're playing Southern Durham, who I think 7A now. We play them in the semis. Play who is it? Carborough. We play Seaforth. There's a good mix of teams that we're playing. We're playing in a jamboree this Saturday at Northwest Guilford. So we're playing some bigger schools, but most of our non-conference is bigger than we are. So I think that's going to prepare us really well for the season.
Yeah, gotcha. And just take me through, I guess, what has it been like for you? I know that was your first year coaching the first state title, right?
Yes, sir.
And so how special was it to kind of have that moment with some of those freshmen, and then you see them grow and mature and they're back on that stage and you send them out winners? That has to just feel, as a coach, being all the practices, all the time you spend with that group, really special to see their career start and end in similar fashion.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's funny because a lot of those guys are like younger siblings of some of the seniors and older guys that were on the team that year. So they didn't just experience it, but they lived it. Like, their brothers are talking about it all the time. Older kids on the team, they're always great leaders and kind of groom these younger guys to be what we need them to be. But it was an awesome experience. That first year, nothing really matches that first year just because it was so unexpected. I mean, we were like a 21 seed. So doing that was incredible. And like we had never done that as a school. So, you know, the one we just won this past year, it's not like it's any less sweet or anything, but it was a little more expected. Like expectations were just high for this year. And we knew that we had team to do it. So, yeah, I mean, it's two different state titles, but it is really cool that some of those guys got to enjoy both of them.
Gotcha. You know, again, Coach, thanks for joining us as always. We'll be out to see the Warriors and the new 5A team, perhaps a 5A title contender, which is a little bit different to say for us all and getting used to this A classification world. But thank you again for joining us here, and good luck to you the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
The 704 area is a soccer hotbed. Not only is it home to an MLS team, but it's also home to some of the best high school teams in the state. Let's look at last year and who ended up being some of our top teams in the greater Charlotte area. Number one, last year we had Marvin Ridge, went 18-5-2, was the 4A state runner-up. Number two, you had Myers Park, a team that went undefeated and went all the way to the fourth round of the playoffs. Third, right behind them, we had the 4A West runner-up. Now, Charlotte Catholic, which won 20 games. South Mecklenburg, which won the state title 2 years ago, was our fourth place team, and Ardrey-Kell was fifth. So all those schools last year were 4A. This year, they're all different classifications. And this, even though they're pretty much all ranked to start off this year, here's the order we have them in. Marvin Ridge, now 7A, bring back a number of returners from last year's team, about 7 starters or so. Myers Park also bringing back about 7 starters. We have them right behind. Also, these teams, really good JV programs. So even if they do graduate on more starters than I'm thinking that they actually graduated, they have a lot of people coming in who can fill those holes. South Mecklenburg is in third and Ardrey-Kell in fourth. Now the team in fifth, East Lincoln. This is a team that could really be someone to watch in 5A. 5A West, whether it's Hickory or East Lincoln, Western Alamance, depending on if they go east or west. This is a really good team that's bringing back about 9 of its starters from a year ago. Marvin Ridge is 7A, Myers Park, South Meck, and Ardrey-Kell all 8A. Now, some teams that could be breaking out this year. Last year, there were some breakout teams like Bradford Prep, for instance, getting all the way to the 1A West regional final. This year, I think you need to look in the direction of Union County, Porter Ridge, bringing back 7 starters from an 18-6 team. I think the Pirates will be much improved this year. I also think it's a bounce-back year for Huff, 16-8-3 last year. They're bringing back 7 starters. Do not be surprised if you see Gaston Day doing what it usually does in the private school ranks in 2A, 16-4 last year. And then also another team just be mindful of out there is Covenant Day. Covenant Day bringing back a solid core from last year. Again, they are in the Independent School Athletic Association, and they play in the 4A ranks there. Another team that I kind of like, I'm going to actually mention one that's on the graphic and one that is not. One that is on there is Greystone Day. They won the 1A title 2 years ago. Greystone Day is now 1A, and they bring back 10 starters from a 13-win team. Another one that's not on there is Forest View. Forest View and Gastonia, 13-7-3 last year. They're bringing back 9 starters. And I think the Jaguars could be one that sneaks up on a few people this year. Now, we're looking at the watch list, some teams, some players to know going into this season. We do have a few returning all-state players. There's only 17 statewide. 3 of them are in the 704 area code. You have Carter King of East Lincoln, 27 goals and 12 assists. You have Cassias McKinnon of Marvin Ridge, 3 goals, 9 assists. He played outside back last year. This year, he'll be moving to the midfield. Also, goalie Judah Heiss out of Pine Lake Prep, a less than 1 goal allowed average last year, 9 shutouts and 1 PK stop. And if you haven't seen him play goalie, you'll know that you're missing out because he has some really acrobatic saves. Grant Ellis of Bradford Prep is another person to look out for. Again, Bradford Prep doing some really nice things last year, going all the way to the 1A West regional final. I kind of like them in 2A to perhaps even win it all in a new look classification now that we're at 8 classes. And then lastly, to kind of round out things, Brian Shaw of South Point. South Point is a school that is bringing back a lot of people from a 3A runner-up, and now they are 5A as well. Pretty good program, pretty good soccer on boys and girls side down in Belmont, where South Point is located. As always, the 704 area code is extremely strong in boys soccer, and that was no different last year. Marvin Ridge won their last 14 games going into the state championship, where they fell runner-up in a classic against Wakefield. This year, the Mavericks look to be pretty good again, and even as we're moving into a different era with the 8 classifications, they'll be in 7A. And to talk to me a little bit more about Marvin Ridge is Cassias McKinnon. He was second-team All-State as an outside back for us last year, and he had an assist, drew a PK in that championship game, had a really good outing. So, Cassias, thanks for joining us. How was that ending last year? Because you guys started off kind of slow and then really hit your stride. How's that ending, making it to a state championship? How's it fueled everything going into this offseason?
I think it's the key motivator for me and my team. It's been on our minds a lot, and obviously we want that revenge for last year, for our teammates last year, for our coach and everything. And I think going into every workout, every tryout, every practice, I think it's definitely on our minds a lot, because we do want to end the season with the ring.
Yeah. Marvin Ridge is always strong. Last year, you had a few key seniors that are leaving. What should we expect from this year's Marvin Ridge team?
I think you should expect the same thing, if not better. I think we're going to keep our play style, which is possession and breaking down opponents. And with the people that we have this year, I think we should have no problem doing that, even with the people that were losing last year.
Yeah. And take me a little bit about your role as an outside back. Last year, having that assist in the championship game, late, you were able to kind of push forward. How do you see your role on this year's team? And actually, it's interesting because on the girls' side, last couple of years, Jessica Matson had that kind of similar role where late in the game, she could go forward as well. What about your role?
I think I'm going to play the same role. I'm able to do that because of my backline. My backline is really solid, and it allows me to push up more and complement the attack more, which is today, as a fullback today, that's what you kind of have to do, is get up there and cross the ball in or get shots. So I think my role this year will be more attacking more than defensively, because of the backline that I have. So I'm looking to score more, assist more, and overall just help the attack more.
Yeah, gotcha. And it always helps when you have that versatility where for you as a player, where 1 year you do one thing and the next year you can change roles and everything keep rolling. Take me a little bit through your schedule. I'm not you've looked at it or anything like that. You do have a new conference with a few new teams. What are some of the games that you just have circled on the calendar already? You know it's going to be a showdown when you meet this particular side.
The first game is the game against South Met. I have a lot of respect for their coaches and for their program as a whole. I think they have a really good program there. And personally, I have a lot of friends on that team. And every time we play them, it's always a great competition. It's always a great battle, especially last year. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but it was a really good battle of us battling back and everything. And I think that'll be a good game. And then the game against Myers Park as well. I think with the playoff game last year, I think they're definitely looking for revenge, and we're definitely looking to hold up our own. So I think that would be a really good battle, and they also have a very good program there. And then the games in conference, every game against Weddington is always a battle, always a fight, and we're looking to come up on top, but that's definitely a big game for me. And then the game against Catholic, the 2 games against Catholic, now that they're finally in our conference again, we're looking to win both of those games, obviously, and that's a huge game for me. So, yeah.
Yeah. The conference got that much better, right? I mean, last year, already tough enough, and then Catholic comes in. And then in the 7-4, I mean, there's so many teams you can schedule non-conference. You're going to get a really good game.
Yeah.
So again, Cassias, thanks for joining us. Best of luck to the Mavericks this season, and we'll see you here in a few weeks.
Thank you. I'll see you.
As we move to our next region in North Carolina, we're going to the 828, which is everything in Western North Carolina from Boone to Asheville and further and beyond that, as well as the Catawba Valley. Remember last year around in the fall is when we had Hurricane Helene hit Western North Carolina. It really affected a lot of those players, families, programs out there. And yet, despite all that adversity, it was a really good year for the Mountains in soccer. You had teams like AC Reynolds and Inca making big runs. And we're going to look at some of those teams here coming up. Last year, our final rankings in the 828 area code, we had AC Reynolds. They were the 3A West runner-up with 21 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. Inca, whose only loss of the year came to AC Reynolds in the regular season, and AC Reynolds, also only 2 losses, I should say, came to AC Reynolds both times, regular season and the postseason. We had Asheville at number 3 and Watauga at number 4. Both those schools are now 6A as well as AC Reynolds. Inca is 5A, and also in 5A is Hickory, a team that won the state title just a few years back. They went 25-1 last year. Now, we're looking at the region going into this year. The order is a little bit different, but you'll see some familiar names. AC Reynolds bringing back 7 starters from last year's team. They are starting off the year number 1 in the 828 and top 10 in the state. Also top 10 in the state is Hickory. They're second in the 828, but that's not too far off, far outside the top 25. They're right there in the top 10, just like the Rockets are. Hickory bringing back 8 starters from last year. Watauga is in third. They're bringing back 8 starters, or at least about 8 players that are in the rotation a lot, I should say, off a 19-win team. Christ School is my 4th school. Christ School only got 13 games in last year, but they're a team that brings back a number of returning players that can make some noise in the independent school ranks. And then Inca is 5th. Inca bringing back a solid core from last year. Did get hit with some graduation losses. We have them 5th. Now, here are some breakout teams that you could be looking for in the 828 area code. And you may say, no, come on now. That's not a breakout team. This team has a good history, but we'll just go with where they were ranked last year and call them a breakout team if we think they're going to do better this year. We'll start with Braeden. 17-7-2 last year, bringing back a solid 7 or so players that got a lot of minutes last year. Thomas Jefferson, 18 wins a year ago. They could be one of the best schools in 1A this year because they stay in 1A. Also, East Henderson. East Henderson was 8-12-3. They're bringing back 7 starters. I think the Eagles can improve upon that record tremendously. Also, Murphy. We mentioned a little bit with Jerry Bowie leading the way. They're bringing back a solid 10 starters from an 11-9-1 team. And last but not least, another breakout candidate for you, Hendersonville, 8-9-3 a year ago. But I don't think the Bearcats stay down very long in boys soccer. I think they can improve upon that new look conference and maybe be a team that ends up ranked in the 828 this year, even though they were not last year. Again, this is a very deep area code. The boys soccer in that 828 is just really underappreciated, I think, statewide. And we're going to look at some of the players that we should be appreciating a little bit more going into this year. There are 2 players in the 828 area code that made last year's all-state team that we do at HighSchoolOT. One of them was forward Isaac Cromie of AC Reynolds. He had 17 goals and 18 assists. And actually, we saw Isaac the year before as well. He was playing more of a defensive midfielder, moved a little forward in the formation, and really put together a good season. Same could be said for Braeden McCourt of Hickory. When he was a freshman, and we're going to talk to Braeden here in a little bit. When he was a freshman, he was on the back line. Last year, he moves to kind of the top of the formation, 37 goals, 16 assists. Also, some names to know. Zach Schweigert of Newton Conover. The Red Devils had a fantastic year in 2A. Now they're 4A. He is definitely someone that you have to know where he's at all times in the field. A lot of goals last year. Felix Hubner of Christ School, one of the better goalies in the state, is coming back this year. Make sure to know his name when you're thinking about the independent school ranks. And then last but not least, we're going to turn our attention to way in the western corner, Murphy High School. Jerry Bowie had a number of goals at the 1A ranks last year for the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs are moving up to the 2A ranks this year, but Jerry Bowie had a very nice season for Murphy. All right, and next on the HighSchoolOT preseason show, we're looking at the 828 area code. That includes the mountains, and it also includes the Catawba Valley, which is pretty good at soccer. And when you think about that that area, you're thinking about Hickory soccer, and joining us now is Braeden McCourt, entering his senior year at Hickory. Braeden, how does it feel? Does it hit you going into your last year? Because you're a guy who's started since day one.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't hit me yet. I think probably playoffs start coming around. I start hitting me that any of those games could be my last high school game of my career. Definitely excited for this year. I think we are in shape to have a good year to end out my high school.
Yeah, you guys do have a lot of good players coming back. You can speak more on them here in a second. But I know the first time I actually interviewed you, you were the MVP as a freshman of that championship game. I think you had a goal, and then you also had a big play. You were on the back line then, where you raced down the field and dispossessed what looked to be like a 1v1 with a keeper. It looked like an easy goal. You helped break that up. What do you remember about that? And also take me through the progression that year you were needed on the back line. These last 2 years, you've been needed at the top of the formation, and you've got, I think, 37 goals last year, second team All-State for us at HighSchoolOT, and like 50 goals over the last 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, I still probably consider that game, that state championship game, probably be my best game of my life. Just maybe not in terms of, I mean, obviously I had a great performance, but maybe not even in terms of performance, but just how important that game was, and being able to shine on that level was something really special, especially for me at that younger age, starting out my high school. And I feel like that was a great way to start. And so I've been playing midfield my entire life, and I actually didn't play center back until that year, where the coaches saw an opening in the starting lineup where I think I fit in pretty well. And then kind of the same thing the year after that was we filled that spot with a center back from one of my good friends, one of the JV players, moved up to varsity. And we still didn't need any midfield spots, and they played me striker. I played midfield a little bit, but I think I fit in well there. And now I've been playing that for travel, for club. And I consider myself to be more of a 9 than anything else now. Basically, any opportunity I have now, I play the 9. I don't play midfield much anymore.
Gotcha. Now let's talk about who you guys have coming back. I think you're one of 4 guys who made that coaches all-district team who are returning for this year, and it's you guys made it to, I think, the 3rd or 4th round last year. Close game with South Point. That was 3A, and this year is 5A. But you're going to see a lot of those teams again. So who all do the Red Tornadoes have coming back? What can spectators expect when they watch you guys play?
So I think we're going to be I think last year was kind of a rebuilding year. I think this year is definitely a different experience than what I've had previous years. I mean, from freshman to sophomore year, we lost 13 seniors, I think 6 of which was our starters. And then from sophomore to junior year, we lost, I think, another 12 seniors, and I think 7 of them were our starters. So the complete difference in how much we lost this year, we've lost, I think, 4 seniors, and only 2 of them were our starters. So I think last year was a really good rebuilding year. And this year, I think we have basically the exact same team coming back, if not better. We've gone a few transfers from one kid from Alexander Central. The one kid who hadn't played high school, he's actually part of he was part of the Charlotte FC Academy. He's come in, and he's going to be a huge help for us. And then again, we have all of our entire starting back line returning. Our entire midfield, and then we lost a winger, but we have, I think, found a good replacement for him and some new guys.
Gotcha. And then last thing I want to ask you, because there are so many changes this year with classification and conference both happening at the same time. So you guys are 5A, and you're in a conference now where travel will not be an issue, right? Almost everybody is in the same county pretty much. What are some of the games that you're looking forward to the most, whether it's non-conference or conference play?
Yeah, so obviously St. Stephen's, our rival, is not in our conference anymore. We were lucky enough to get them on our preseason schedule. So that's obviously a very important game that I'm looking forward to. My parents are actually my entire family's actually going to a wedding. They're leaving that day. I'm staying an extra day longer just to play in that game. So that's definitely an important game for me.
Yeah.
And I think noon Conover too. Again, really nearby, strong soccer community at that school. So we know plenty of the players. They know plenty of our players. I think they're going to be a really tough matchup. I know they have a few transfers coming in, good amount of returners from last year. So I think that's another game in conference that'll be competitive and also just kind of a bragging rights game for sure.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, Braeden, again, thanks for joining the show.
Yes,
We look forward to coming out there and covering you guys this year, and best of luck this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we've got 2 area codes left. We're going to the 910 area code. That is everything from the Sandhills, North Carolina, an area very near and dear to my heart, all the way down to the southeastern coast, everything from Jacksonville all the way down to Wilmington. So when we think about last year and who ended up where in our area code rankings, it all starts with the reigning 2A champions, the Clinton Dark Horses, who went 28-2 on the year to win the 2A state title. Behind them was Hoggard, New Hanover, Topsail, and Ashley. 4 teams, all in that southeastern coastal area, the Carolina Coast Conference now, as it's called. All of them were 4A schools last year. Hoggard 19-3, New Hanover with 16 wins, Topsail 17, Ashley 18. And any given night, those teams could beat up on one another, and that's why they finished 2, 3, 4, and 5. But moving into this year, it's a little bit different. People are bringing back a different number of returning starters, and we've made a few changes when it comes to how we're forecasting what this season could be. Clinton is still number 1. However, the Dark Horse is bringing back 7 starters and a solid core from last year. A lot of players who got into the rotation and used off the bench. They could be the favorites in 4A if it wasn't for the team that they defeated last year in the state title, Southwestern Randolph, bringing back 10 starters. So those 2 teams are both 4A schools who start their year ranked in the top 25 for us. It'd be interesting if Clinton and Southwestern Randolph tangle again in the state championship, or maybe even if they wind up both in the East, maybe they tangle earlier in the playoffs this year. Number 2, we have Hoggard, 19 wins, bringing back a solid 6 starters. New Hanover is a team that could be a breakout school, 16 wins of last year, bringing back 7 starters. Jacksonville, we have them at 4th, bringing back a solid group. As always, they are now 6A. Laney, bringing back not that many starters, but had a really good JV team last year, and those players could be playing important roles this season as well. Now, we want to go through some of the breakout teams here, and so we're going to do that. Some breakout candidates, we should say. Dixon last year with 10 losses, that's a little high for them typically. They bring back a solid core. I think Dixon, with the new conference and things like that, they could find themselves having a breakout year. Also, I kind of like Jack Britt in the Sandhills area. They're bringing back 7 starters to a team that could easily win their conference. They will have competition there with Pinecrest, but that could be a team that breaks out as well. Also in this area, let's go all the way down to 2A. Lejeune, 1A school last year. All 11 starters are due to come back. Actually, everyone's due to come back. There were no seniors in last year's roster. If they do, and we know things can change, obviously, when you're a military school. But however, if they do come back, they could greatly improve upon last year's 12-6-1 record. Also, Fayetteville Christian out of the NCISAA ranks, 14-5 last year, bringing back a solid 8 starters as well. And another breakout candidate, Southwest Onslow, 9-11 last year. You may think, well, how are they a breakout candidate? They're bringing back a solid core of all-region players from the Coaches Association's all-region team and 7 starters total. So things could be looking up this year for the Stallions. Now, let's get you ready for the 910 area code with a watch list of top players. There are 3 returning all-state players from this region. It begins with Ashley's Clark Marriott, a defender who had 10 goals and 4 assists. Ashley, for long stretches of last year, was a top 10 team in the state for us. Also coming back this year, Holden Spell, MVP of the state championship game last year, 23 goals and 21 assists. Landon Adams, he's also a returning All-State player for Jacksonville, 12 goals and 20 assists last year. Two more to add. Blake Oxendine, one of the leading scorers in the 4A last season. Now Jack Britt, a member of the 7A classification. And Davion Lewis of East Bladen. The Eagles are moving from 1A to 2A in our A classification world. And he had a number of assists while also playing a lot as outside back. All right, and now as we turn our attentions to the 910 area code, we're bringing in the coach of one of the more successful programs in that area code, even if it's not one of the biggest schools in that area code, Coach Brad Spell of Clinton. Coach, you have to be proud of what you guys are doing at Clinton year in, year out. Last year winning the state title. Just kind of take us through what it's like to have the foundation of a program the way you have it rolling right now.
Got to say I'm extremely blessed. I graduated in Clinton back in 1993, and I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to come back and teach and coach. And I've been there now and been teaching and coaching for 27 years. Been coaching soccer at 27 years now at Clinton High School. That's the only school I've been at, and it took a long time to get the program rolling, but I guess I'm tasting a little bit of the cream now.
Yeah, absolutely. And last year, that was a fantastic championship game. Take us a little bit through some of the players who are coming back from last year's 2A champions as you guys move into a new classification. 4A sounds big, but still about the same size schools you were playing against before.
Yeah, going to 8 classifications now, and we're moving, like you said, moving up from 2A to 4A, and it's like you said, it's pretty much the same thing. You got a couple schools you've lost, you've got a couple schools that's coming in, and we've got a lot of returners coming back from last year's squad. We got to get another opportunity in front of us. I've told the guys all summer long that we're going to have to be hungry. We're going to have a target on our back. We've worked throughout the summer to get ready for this opportunity. But, if the guys take it in and, they listen to the coaching staff and we, continue to improve throughout the year, I think the opportunity's there. So like I said, I'm blessed to be where I'm at, and I'm still enjoying it. I still got the juice for it, and I can't wait to see what these guys do. We're going to have about 15 seniors this year.
Wow. So an experienced group for sure. Take me through, if you kind of think through your schedule, some of the games that your players have got circled on their calendar that they're really looking forward to.
Well, one thing we don't do at Clinton High School is we don't shy away from tough competition, because we know it prepares us to try to win a conference championship. But not only that, we want to definitely make a big run in the playoffs. And, I've been a big advocator of, hey, I'd rather lose 1-0 or 2-1 than win games 9-0, because you're not going to learn a lot from that. Sometimes it's good to get your tail whooped every once in a while to let your kids know that, hey, we got to improve. We still got to get better. And, last 5, 6, 7 years, everybody wants to beat Clinton. And, I like that, but at the same time, we got to be prepared, not only physically, but we got to be prepared mentally. And, like I said, I try to steer away, or I try to stay with a group of schools that's going to help us and have good rivals. Even though they might not be in 4A classification, I know they're going to be great teams. You got your Wallace Rose Hills, you got your James Keenan Tigers, East Duplin Panthers, who's going to be in our conference this year, and they're 4A as well. Spring Creek is a good team that gives us a lot of tests. We're going to be playing Newton Conover, and we're actually going to go down to South Western Randolph to play them in the regular season. And that could be, you never know. If we play well and they play, we can meet up again, because they got a lot of returners coming back too. So definitely want to play good competition, because I highly believe it gets us ready for, that playoff run.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Southwestern Randolph. They're ranked really high in our preseason as well, as are you guys. And you don't know where the East-West line is going to fall necessarily. So that could be a preview of a state title or an East regional final. You never know. Coach, take us through just when you're advice, as you said, you're kind of getting closer to that 3.0 number in years teaching and coaching. What is if someone is starting out in today's world, a little bit different than when you started out? I mean, it was different than 5 years ago, right? What are some advice you would give to a coach trying to start a soccer program or get a program on his or her terms and try to lay the foundation like you've been able to do at Clinton?
Well, you got to be – details matter. Details matter. That's one thing we talk about as a coaching staff all the time. You got to have great communication. You got to have great relationship for the kids. You got to push them. We always another saying we say throughout the soccer season is play with a standard, not a score. So you're doing that in your practices and communicating with your parents, communicating with the community, communicating with the fan bases, and having good relationship with the kids, the parents, the teachers. And, you got to build on it. You got to have a plan. You can't just walk in there and guess it and hope things happen. You've got to have a good, strong plan, good foundation. And, if you set these kids and give them really high standards, they can and they will run through a wall for you.
Absolutely. Good words of advice there from Coach Brad Spell. Coach, we look forward to covering you and the dark horses throughout this year. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right, rounding us out here on the preseason show is the 919 area code. Tons of great soccer programs, some of the more traditional powerhouses across the state, and a lot of really good talent as well. A year ago, the 919 made captured the ultimate prize with the number 1 team in our final statewide rankings. That was Wakefield. Wakefield went 24-4 and then really ran the gauntlet in the 4A playoffs all the way to the 4A championship. So they were our number 1 team last year. Green Hope was number 2. Green Hope made it to the East Regional Final, falling to Wakefield. Then you had Holly Springs, a team that went 22-2-1 last year. They fell to Green Hope in the previous round. Rolesville was number 4, a breakout season from them. You're going to hear more on that here in a second. And then Braeden was the 5th best team in the 919 area code last year. They also made a deep run in the playoffs before falling to Wakefield. Now, this year we started off, and people are in different places, but we'll say this. There are 15 teams in our area code rankings. The top 10 in the 919 are all ranked in our statewide ranking. No other area code has that many. It starts off this year, and this can go any sort of way. We know that soccer can be unpredictable in the triangle because everybody's good. Everybody brings back good JV teams. We have Braeden 19-6-1 as the number 1 team. If everyone comes back that we're thinking is coming back, the Capitals are number 1. Green Hope is number 2. Green Hope only bringing back about 4 starters, but the JV team is always so good. They fill whatever holes they need in their formation very, very well. Number 3, Rolesville, bringing back a solid core from last year's breakout team. And number 4, you have Heritage, a traditional power, always good year in, year out. Number 5, Middle Creek, 14-6-2. This is a team that we're kind of hinting at could have a breakout season. They're bringing back 9 starters from last year's team, and they are now 6A. So of these top 5 teams, Braeden is 8A, Green Hope 8A, so is Rolesville. Heritage is in 7A, and Middle Creek in 6A. So some of the teams we think could be breakout candidates besides the ones we've just mentioned. Clayton, go to Johnson County and look at Clayton in the 919. They're bringing back about 8 starters from a 16-win team. Also, this is a school that hasn't been around that long. They had no senior class last year. Excelsior Classical in Durham. They are a 1A charter school. Because they have no senior class, they're bringing back everybody from last year's 13-1-1 team. They are someone you have to be mindful of in the 1A championship race. CB Aycock, if you don't usually think of Wayne County out near Goldsboro as 919, but it is. It's a 919 county, and CB Aycock won 20 games last year, and they're bringing back 20 starters from that group. So that's another team to be mindful of. Also, let's go to the independent school ranks. Durham Academy, 12-7-2 last year, but bringing back a really good group of returning players. We'll mention one of those here in a few minutes. And then lastly, Orange. Orange went 16-6. 7 starters coming back. It's a difficult conference that Orange is in. You have Western Alamance. They're moving from that conference. It's a different conference that they were in with Western Alamance and Williams, but they held their own, and maybe perhaps you'll see even more wins this year. Another team not listed here, but I do want to mention Carborough High School, 14-7-2 last year, and like Orange, bringing back a solid group of returning players. Now, in our watch list, we have four returning players from the High School OT All-State team who are coming back to the 919 area. CBA Cock, it starts with Drew Huff, 34 goals, 16 assists. With Durham Academy, this is goalkeeper Jack Kelly, 1.355 goals against average. A couple years back, we were covering a game, and he made PK saves to win it. He had 3 shutouts last year. Defender Adam Granai of Green Hope, 2 goals and 4 assists. He made it to the second team All-State for us as a defender. Riley Daniels of Rolesville, 27 goals and 27 assists. He was also All-State. And then another player I want to mention, Caesar Halabi from Southern Durham. So Caesar is a goalie for Southern Durham. He is entering, I believe, his senior year, and he has started all these years. Southern Durham was a team that last year was reaching the regional final for the first time in school history. And the year before that, they were putting together one of the first winning seasons. So things have changed rapidly during Caesar's time in high school. Southern Durham went from being a school that would only win a handful of games a year, and now you're looking at them, even with moving up to 7A this year from 3A, that they still might be really, really good and a state championship contender. No stranger to the soccer statewide stage is the 919 area code. It seems like every year there are championship teams and championship contenders and really good players. Last year, there's a new team on the block, if you will, a breakout season from Rolesville. And joining us now is Riley Daniels, who was a big reason why the Rams last year went from never having a winning season in school history to 22 wins. And the Rams are now in 8A and looking like they could be an 8A contender. So, Riley, thanks for joining us on the HighSchoolOT preseason show. Take me a little bit through what changed for you guys, because you played on the team the previous seasons. You know that, how far away you guys were. It wasn't like, we're in no offense here. It wasn't like you were, right at almost 500. These were like easily losing seasons. And then last year, just everything going right for you guys. What changed?
I feel like over the years, everybody kind of like clicked together so we could play great together. This happened on and off the field. So when it came to the field and practices and all that, we just clicked.
Yeah, there's team chemistry is you can't overrate that, right? It matters so much. Take me a little bit through what your busy schedule is. So for folks who may not know, Riley made our first team All-State special teams in football, where he's a kicker punter for the 8A runner-up or 4A runner-up last year in Rolesville football. And then in soccer season during the week, he's out there playing midfield and being the second team All-State midfielder for us there. So very hard to make 2 All-State teams in the same season. What is it like for you trying to juggle practices? What does it typically look like Monday through Friday?
It's a lot. So we have to be at school for football at 6:30 in the morning. So I get up, go there. We usually end around 10, 11-ish. I'll come home, eat, take a nap, kind of. And then I got to go right back out around 4:30-ish. And then we won't end till almost closer to 8. So I don't have much free time during the day.
Yeah, definitely not. What does it look like during the school year when you have class involved too?
After school, I usually go to soccer practice first when we don't have a soccer game. And then at the end of soccer practice, I'll go kick with the football team for a little bit. But when I do have a soccer game, if it's away, I won't do football practice, and if it's a home game, I'll go out and just watch the football practice, so I'm not losing energy, so I can save it for the game.
Gotcha. Yeah, you have to balance that, I'm sure. Take me a little bit through like what we can expect from Rolesville this year. There's so many times, especially in Wake County, when you're thinking about the large schools, there's usually a lot of turnover just because every team, it feels like, has 12 seniors, 13 seniors. You have to replace them. What can we expect in watching Rolesville this year? Who do you have coming back, and kind of what's the makeup of the team?
This year we have a bunch of seniors coming back. We unfortunately lost 2 seniors just because they didn't really want to play anymore. But I feel like for this season, we have to, I would say, get familiar with the new kids and the younger kids so we can all click again like last year. But I think we have a good chance of pulling off a winning season this year.
Yeah. Who, when you think about the conference, or maybe even somebody in non-conference, what are the big games you kind of have circled? Like, that's always a good one, or at least it's a good one when you guys are going to meet this year.
So our first game, we go to Apex Friendship, and last year we drug it out. We ended up winning 3-2. But this year we've heard that they're going to a bunch of team camps, and they have like a bunch of people on the roster. So that's the first one on the list. Mm-hmm. And for conference play, I haven't really looked at the conference stuff that much, but I think Braeden is a main team, and that's all I really know for right now.
Yeah, gotcha. It's going to be a deep conference, the new Cap 8, with Braeden, like you mentioned, Enloe, you guys, Millbrook, Wakefield. Very good conference. Always some strong soccer in the 919. Well, yeah. Riley, thanks so much for joining us on the HighSchoolOT preseason show. Best of luck this year. We'll get out and check you guys out soon enough.
Thanks for having me on the show.